The Warner system is 30 channels of entertainment, information, and fun. This small console, with its 5 response buttons and message light, makes the Warner system an expanded form of communication. These buttons allow Warner subscribers to tell us what they are thinking, to participate in our programming and in our commercials. That's what makes our system really different. When the television set is turned on, the C1 Columbus Alive channel comes on automatically. This channel is designed especially for two-way communication. And there's more that makes us different. Why, it's the way we do things. Thanks, Buzz. Well, obviously, this isn't a studio, it's a real street. And real people live on it, including some people that you're going to be interested in meeting. Pat and Francine Morin. Well, they live right over there at 1800 Goodale Street. They're a young, working couple. Pat's a lawyer and Francine is a fashion consultant. Their lives in this old house are what one of our shows is all about. The show is a tapestry of real experience and dramatized life situations. It explores this generation's optimism, doubts, triumphs, worries, and enthusiasms. It allows you, the audience, to participate with advice and opinions, and to join a stream of friends, neighbors, experts, and to take a rooting interest in their lives. They're two genuine people who cope like the rest of us, and who do their best to get the most out of life.
Vivian, I am so glad you came by this afternoon because next week I have my 7-year-old nephew coming to spend 2 weeks with us while his mother has a hysterectomy. And I'm so afraid that child is going to say, "What's a hysterectomy?" and what am I going to tell him? Or what's Mommy in the hospital for?
When he asks what's Mommy in the hospital for, you can tell him, I wouldn't bother trying to explain a hysterectomy to a 7-year-old.
He wouldn't understand it, would he?
No, he wouldn't understand it. The important thing is that he be reassured that his mother is going to be all right. If anything, he'll be anxious about that. You may also be anticipating something that won't happen. He may not be nervous at all. Is he accustomed to spending time here?
Oh, yeah. He comes and spends weekends with us. And, you know, I know he feels like this is the best place to go. And I know he's going to be happy to be here. But I am a little bit concerned.
You'll probably find he'll ask the same questions over and over again.
Just to be reassured.
That's right. And basically he's looking for reassurance. And you deal with that, you probably won't have many other difficulties. The important thing to do is kind of play it loose. If he wants to know something, he'll ask. If he needs to be reassured, he'll indicate in some way. And if you answer his questions as honestly as you can.
Oh, what's going on?
Hi, darling. Come in.
Hi, who's this?
This is Dr. Vivian Horner. This is my husband, Patrick Morin.
Dr. Horner, pleasure to meet you.
Please, it's Vivian. Nice to meet you, too.
What have you girls been talking about?
Well, Dr. Horner is a child psychologist, and since Frankie is coming next week to visit, I thought I would pick her mind, and she's helped me a great deal.
Well, you go ahead and do that while I brew up some of this new coffee I got called Louisiane.
Every time he goes to the supermarket, he finds something new. When Frank comes next week, if you don't mind, I would like to have your phone number, just in case I have some problems. Do you mind writing it down for me?
Not at all.
All right. And while I've got you here, I would like to find out a few other things. One is, I've often wondered about people who have stepchildren. How, as a step-parent, do you discipline a stepchild?
Well, in much the same way you discipline your own child, I think.
Wouldn't you be afraid of maybe losing their love or their affection when you... I mean, after all, do you really have the right to spank them?
Sure.
You do?
If you would spank a child of your own, then you would probably deal with a stepchild in the same way. There are certain kinds of problems. For example, if you walk into a new situation, your presence may be resented, and you may be very conscious of that. But you need to talk that over with the spouse to find out what the rules have been and what the patterns of discipline have been. And then you need to talk over with the child your own ideas of, what the rules are and how you're going to respond. You don't want to, spring it on them.
What the rules are going to be, no matter what.
The rules are going to be, and children are very accustomed to the fact that different situations have different rules.
That's for sure.
Speaking of different situations, I have a number of friends who were reared in the service and traveled all over the world and were uprooted and moved around from here to there and pillar to post.
Army brads.
What effect does that have on children? Is that is the travel good for them or better for them than being in one place?
The answer to that is yes and no. It affects some children very positively. I know in my experience you often find that children of Army families have very close-knit families because the only constant in their lives is really the family, wherever they are.
World, so they cling together.
Yeah, but equally often I think you find children who are very uncertain in personal relationships. They're afraid to trust because they know the relationship will come to an end. It's very hard to put that much investment into something.
Excuse me. Coffee's ready.
Sure.
There's something else interesting and unusual and exotic about this product. It contains something called chicory, which I've never tried before. Sounds kind of interesting, doesn't it? We'd like to ask you about this coffee and chicory and a couple of other things. Why don't you get your consoles out?
You know, chicory has been around for a long time. In fact, it really was started in the Civil War when they needed to stretch what few coffee beans they had, and so they added chicory to coffee, and people started drinking it then and liking it, and they've been using it ever since. In fact, I wonder how many of you at home have ever tried chicory in your coffee? 18%. That's quite interesting.
That's pretty good.
Yes.
And how many of you have tried Louisiana coffee? 15%. Well, maybe there's a big, delicious surprise for the other 85%, but we're going to try this coffee and see how we like it.
I know I'm going to like it because I'm a coffee freak. No matter what the coffee tastes like, I like it.
Yes. Francine, there's your coffee. Ready for the noble experiment?
Cheers.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Has a nice, strong, rich flavor, don't you think?
Unique.
I
Quite
like it.
unique.
It's very good.
Very, very tasty.
If you would like to join us in tasting Louisiana coffee, all you have to do is press button 1, and we'll be happy to send you a 2-serving sample.
How about that?
That's a good offer.
That's the kind of offer you can't resist.
Oh, sure. I was curious, Pat.
Who is it? Deborah, Nancy, how nice to see you. Come on in. What a nice surprise.
I'm glad to see you.
Why? You look awful. What's wrong?
I've been upset all day. I've been sitting home alone upset, and then Deborah came over and we were upset together.
Why?
Look.
For goodness sake, where did you get this?
I found it. It was on my son's desk. I went in to empty his wastebasket, and
Your
I don't know what
son?
to think of it.
Well, I've never seen it. I've seen it. I mean, I know it's around. It's the Larry Flint magazine. I know about it, but I've never looked at it.
Francine, the thing that has upset me is it's not a sex magazine. It's something else. It's not sex. It's
Oh my goodness.
violence and perverseness.
Oh my gracious. I've never seen anything like this. Absolutely never.
Oh, you
this
just
is not
getting
like.
started.
I thought it was like Playboy magazine.
No,
It's
that's
not
what
like,
I thought. I thought it
it's
was
not
Playboy,
like Playboy
but more
at all.
so. But it isn't. It's very strange.
My goodness.
It's just very destructive.
You know what bothers me is all right if it's a magazine that adults can walk up and buy, you know. But for youngsters,
to be able to go up and buy it.
I don't know what I'm so confused about it that because I guess it's like a shock. I'm still in shock.
I'm sure you are.
That I don't know what I think yet, except that I keep returning to the thing we were talking about. It seems to me it's the kind of thing that would warp a youngster's idea of sex and sexuality because it's got all this mutilation and
I agree with you. I think you're perfectly right.
Hi, ladies.
Hi, Patrick.
What the heck's going on? You all look so down.
Well, darling.
Is there a problem?
There certainly is. Nancy found this magazine in her son's bedroom.
Well, what the heck's wrong with that?
look at it.
It's Hustler.
No kidding. It sure is. Well, but it's not. There's nothing unusual about it. It's been around for a long time.
I think I'm in shock because I thought that Hustler was like Playboy magazine, except more so, you know. Oh, right.
And haven't you found that to be the case?
No.
No.
It's strange. It's peculiar.
This time you think they've gone too far, perhaps.
I don't know.
It's not like healthy pornography, Patrick. It's
Healthy
Healthy.
pornography.
That's
Is
the
there
best
such a
kind.
thing? I've never even heard
sure.
of that.
There's a natural expression of one's sensuality, or you know, like healthy relationships. So I think that that expression is healthy, but this is so, this brings in hurting, physical, like cutting for pleasure on people, and
torture,
bondage, and this, you know, S&M things, and you know.
So you would forbid the sale of this magazine? It's outrageous.
No,
It's an outrageous magazine.
No,
but
I don't think I'm saying that.
Well, what would you do?
I don't even know what I don't even know what I would do.
Well, what do you think?
Because I hadn't seen it before. I think I would have to like rethink
Sure.
all my old thoughts on pornography.
Well, one thing is for sure, you've got to be very careful when you tamper with an area like free speech, and that's what this boils down to. It's the First Amendment. Something that a lot of people, and I don't want to make light of it, but a lot of people have died to defend this sort of, this principle.
Yeah. Well, I'm not
and
saying
I know
it
this is
published.
the illogical extension of it, but it can go all the way back the other way to the Russian dissidents, for example, who aren't allowed to say anything. And here we're going the other extreme, but the principle is very important. And while you'd like to protect certain elements, particularly kids, from this sort of thing, on the other hand, where does it lead to if you start restricting it? And I don't intend to make a speech on the subject, but it's something that we have to be very careful with, because it is one of the most sacred principles that we have in America.
Yes, but it also upsets me that a man is actually making a living, a lot of people are making a living on putting smut out on the newsstands.
There's a market for it, obviously. America's business is business.
All right, we'll let you do that.
Just a minute, just a minute. We have a suggestion here, but I'd like to put it to you as well. The suggestion is that we control, or try to control, the sale of Hustler magazine to people under the age of 17 years old. Does that sound reasonable?
Yes, that's a good idea.
Do you think that might help? Well, we'd like to know if you agree with that. If you agree with that proposition, just push button yes on your console. Aha. I see that 85% of the people, 85% of you agree with me and with us, I think, that we should control the sale of this magazine to people under the age of 17. There should be some way that we can maintain our freedom and still not have these people have this kind of magazine available to children of all ages.
I agree.
I wonder if that's possible.
I don't think it's possible.
I think it definitely is.
Well, parents have to get involved.
Not everything that happens in this house is serious. And by the way, things happen all over. Upstairs, downstairs, outside.
All right, now watch this as we do another one. And let me just take that off.
Yeah.
And we'll leave that on.
Hey, wait. You're putting it in crooked.
But you're supposed
Come
to.
on.
Now, look, take a look. See that little purple area down there?
Yeah.
See, it's the bottom is purple. See those little hairs, that little furry
These
stuff?
things?
Yeah. This area will grow new roots. See that node, that little bump where a flower might have pulled the stem off? That'll grow roots. And you put this in sideways, sure.
Are you sure?
Absolutely, believe me. This, what it will do is it'll grow roots there. It'll give the plant more nourishment. It'll give it the ability to bring in more water, and you'll have healthier, taller, they'll bear more fruit.
Fantastic.
That's the secret.
Now what do you want me to do? Start?
You do
putting
one.
a few?
You do one, and let's see you do it right this time.
Let's see. Plant a radish, get a radish, not a Brussels sprout. That's why I like vegetables, you know what you're about. Life is merry if you're very vegetarian. The man who plants a garden is a very happy man. Yes, all right.
You're doing very well.
Okay, you bend.
Bend it.
Right.
Yeah.
Put it in.
Good.
About how far apart?
That's fine. 18 inches.
18
That's
inches.
That's fine. See, when they grow up, they'll be very bushy.
Okay.
These came from seed. Now, right about
seed.
now.
Oh, wait. I'm glad you reminded me of seed. My hands are dirty, and I have an offer, so I'd like you to get your consoles. These seeds came from the Fairy Morse people, the seeds that the tomatoes came from, and the Fairy Morse people would like to make you an offer of a free gift of seeds. Now that you have your console, each button represents a different kind of seed. Button 1 for lettuce, button 2 for carrots, and button 3 for green beans. So press the appropriate button or the one that you want, and Fairy Morse will send you a packet of their excellent seeds. Okay?
You know, I was just looking at the back of that package. So you hold that up. See that map?
Mm-hmm.
Shows you the growing area. So here in the north.
And the times.
That's right. Here in the north, it's very important that you don't set plants out too early.
Okay.
Because, for instance, if we had set these out yesterday, with that cold weather we had. It's supposed to warm up a lot more today. You wouldn't have, it wasn't a freeze, so they wouldn't have been destroyed, but the flowers would set later. You wouldn't get your fruit till, maybe even the middle of July, August. And if we don't have that same kind of weather today, and we're not supposed to, which is why we're doing this, then we should have nice, big, juicy tomatoes, I'd say maybe June 1st.
I'll be darned. That sounds great. Are there any other vegetables?
When you're fabricating a wall, remember to staple into the furring strips along the edges that you've already nailed in. Be sure you pull it nice and tight, the fabric, and then when you're all finished, you take a sharp razor blade and you cut off the excess along the molding, both top and bottom. And lastly, be sure you put some cording along the edge to cover up your staples. Well, that's it. I can hardly believe it's finished. It's taken 1 week, but you know, it looks pretty good. My father always did say a little bit of paint and fabric sure make a difference. Patrick, come up here. I sure hope he likes yellow. I don't believe this. Where they put a spark plug. If I ever meet Henry Ford, I'm sure going to give him a piece of my mind. Oh, gracious. What do you think, Fry? Do you think I can do this? Change a spark plug, get it out? Now, the man at the store said that if it wasn't too bad, I could clean it myself, and he gave me an old one, which mine's not as bad as the old one, that's for sure. Let's see what I can do in this book. Called a Auto Book for Dummies. Let's see. If you have a spark plug that's wet, black, oily deposits, no, this is not that bad. Black, dry, fluffy soot on insulator tip and electrodes, no. Brown or grayish tan, that's me. Brown or grayish tan deposits on side of electrode. Everything is fine, just clean and re-gap the plug. Yeah, good. A little bit of gum out on a piece of cloth. Clean the tip of the spark plug. That's it. That's not too hard. That gum out is a pretty good product. Fella at the garage said that you could use gum out even in your gasoline tank to clean it. And then you have to take a file and file in between the top of the spark plug and the tip to get all the dirt off. Oh yeah, it works all right. Once you get all the dirt and you really clean it, it takes a while, but you can certainly do it yourself. You get it all cleaned off, then you measure the gap, and my gap, let's see, told me it was a 0.25. You have to hit the top down on the edge of the car.
Yeah, Dave.
Pat, I have to talk to you.
I can't hear you. Open the window.
Pat, I put an application in for an auto loan and they rejected me. Take a look at that.
Well, Dave, I've been telling you to pay your bills on time.
Come on now, Pat, this is serious.
Okay, come on in. We'll talk about it.
Bills? There should be no reason why I was turned down on this here.
Okay. Look, this is an aggravating situation.
Aggravating?
But let me ask you a question first. Do you pay your bills on time?
Of course I pay my bills. I pay my mortgage, my taxes. I pay everything.
I had to ask you because this is the kind of grist that goes into the computer, and you know, it can be a problem.
There ought to be a law.
Excuse me a second. Hello? She's not in right now. Can I take a message? Yes. Okay, bye-bye.
I was just saying that there ought to be a law about this.
Well, there is, as a matter of fact. It's a recently passed law, and it's the kind of thing that I hope will prevent this kind of thing from happening. And what you do is you have to write a letter to the credit bureau to get your record. And when you get your record back, we'll sit down and straighten it out.
Does an attorney have to write the letter, or do I just do it by myself?
It's cheaper if you do it yourself, and it's just as effective.
Well, then who notifies my bank? Who says, hey, don't give this guy a loan?
After we straighten this out, the credit bureau will notify the bank, and the bank will then give you your loan. But to put your mind at ease, I'll invite my friend Dave McClure, who's an expert in this kind of thing, over, and if you stop by, I think we can get you some good advice. It's not really the kind of thing that you should be too upset about, but it is irritating.
I feel better.
Well, I'm glad. Least you can do is buy me a beer for this.
You got it, Pat. Thanks very much.
Take it easy, Dave.
You've seen enough to know that this show, like all our Columbus Alive programs, is different. Someday, it's not going to be so extraordinary to have this kind of communication with viewers. But right now, it's downright revolutionary. Warner Cable wants to form a partnership with you in communication.